Good morning. Today is Monday the 11th? Yeah, the 11th. And thought I'd do a video kind of outlining my opinion on how this year has gone in the comic market. Basically sharing my opinion on what has gone up, what has gone down, what's crashed, and what I plan on buying going into the next year. So let's get all the bad out of the way. The one obvious part of the comic book market that's really dropped a lot is, of course, the CGCs as a whole. But mostly the higher grade modern CGCs like what we have over here, the 9.8s, Darth Vader number 20. That book has probably lost 80% of its value in the last, well, actually since it came out, probably about a year and a half ago. And it dropped for good reason. It's a $5 book in a case. That's all it is. It's a 9.8. It's got white pages, but of course it has white pages. It's a brand new book, and of course it's a 9.8 because it's brand new. A lot of them were printed out. They were cased up, and then they were sold for $100 a pop when they're not anything worth that. Not all CGCs have really crashed, though. Here's one, for example, that I picked up. Hot Rod and Racing number 34. The case is cracked. It doesn't have the nice 9.8 logo on there. It's got a whole rinky-dink 1999 or 1998 old school logo on there. It says 9.0. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't have the eye appeal to it, but it doesn't matter because you're paying for the comic book inside. And the comic book itself has gone up in value a lot in the last year and a half when a lot of other things came down. Now, if you were the type of a collector who wasn't spending a lot of money buying a lot of high grade anything, ended up buying a lot of books under $10 to read or whatever, fill your runs, you didn't really do bad this year. Even the Captain America 100, this is a low grade book. It's an expensive book in high grade. It's not a lot of money in lower grade, but this particular book at its a 2.0 I don't think has really gone down much in value. And this is probably one of the raw books that I think I might have lost a little bit of money, but I may be wrong. This book also might have gone up. It's pretty close. But anyways, in this book as a CGC 8.0 in the last 2 years has most certainly gone down. But I think that's because a lot of people want to collect these books and they don't want to sell them. They tried to flip them, and when the rug kind of falls out from under the floor, they panic, they sell, they take losses. But a lot of the lower grade stuff, people just don't want to put back on the market. As for some books that I think that I've most certainly got up in value, this one right here, Western Gunfighters. Obviously, I'm not just talking about the specific book, but just in general. This book I picked up for $2 about 2 years ago, right at the peak, and it's probably going for $10, $15 now. A lot of these old Western 70s, weird Western tales, the Scalp Hunters, the Jonah Hex, the Rawhide Kid. A lot of this stuff I could have picked up for like $1 each. And I just can't do it now because I look at a lot of this stuff on eBay almost every day to kind of just look for good deals that come along once in a blue moon, or get an idea of how the books that I bought have been doing. And I used to be able to get Scalp Hunters just dirt cheap. Like I could get a Scalp Hunter like I could get like a 1960s low grade Archie book just for like 50 cents to $1. They were just everywhere. Now they're just harder to find. They're just not as many available on auctions, and the buy it nows are obviously they're selling them at ridiculous prices. And I think it just goes back to, people keep what they like and they just don't want to put it back on the market. And I also think it has to do with when you're dealing with a book this cheap, a lot of your fees are going towards shipping. Your shipping is such a high percentage of the book that nobody wants to even bother selling them. I mean, if you buy a Captain America 100, for $800 and it drops down to $600 or $500, you're just going to take the loss maybe and you don't want to wait on it, you want to sell it and whatever. But you don't really care what your cheap books are worth anymore. And just like you don't care about selling them, you don't put them back on the markets. Others can't buy them. They get more rare. They're harder to find. The people who do want to buy them, they have to pay a little more. Here's another one that I used to get really cheap about a year ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and before that was a lot of the 60s or about 70s and even the 80s horror. The ghosts, the unexpected, the journey, the mystery. These were $1 a piece, especially in readers' copies, and I still look for them, and I really can't find too many of them going for those prices anymore. Just because they're cool. They're good stories, they're fun to read, they're fun to collect, fun to fill runs, because there's just so many different issue numbers and all that stuff. And they're just not in the market right now up for sale. Another little area that I noticed has definitely gone up, in my opinion, is some of the older, later Golden Age, Silver Age, Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Walt Disney Comics, and even the Archies. The higher grade ones have gone up. I remember about 2 years ago I got 12 of these, and I think I paid $24.51. So I got these for literally $2 each. But this is like a 6.0, and you can't find higher grade books like these for the same price. I mean, I just can't, and I'm looking all the time. Now, the lower grades haven't really gone up in value, but they haven't gone down in value either. But like, this is a Betty and Me #2. This is like a 7.5 that I picked up, and like, I look at it on now and I try to find anything close to it, and they're selling for like $30. It's just ridiculous. It's not worth anything like that. But this, you could come across these books even at the market high. And I just can't find them anymore. And now that makes me not want to sell this, of course. And that's going to make the price go up in the future even more. So those have actually done well. Other books that I think were pretty cheap during the comic boom, when you had a lot of Avengers and Batman and all that stuff, is a lot of the 4-color Dell, I don't want to call it crap, but the stuff that nobody really wanted, like Tales of Wells Fargo, or stories about movies or movie characters or TV shows, stuff that just didn't have a lot of collective eyes on it, has done well. Those were dirt cheap. They're gone up a little bit, but they're still a little bit cheap now. And it's one of those things that's, I guess it's people just moving from one venue to the next, trying to look for value. But these have definitely done well. A lot of the Dell 4 colors have. Lastly, just moving on, that I noticed has jumped up quite a bit is the Hulks, right around the 15 centers. Obviously, the Hulks in the 70s and the 80s are still worth, $1 or $2, $3. They've gone up a little bit. But I noticed the Hulks in the 1-teens, the 120s, 130s, a lot of these are like $10, $15 now. And that wasn't the case 2 years ago. They were a little bit more money than the higher Hulks, but the 15-cent Hulks were still pretty cheap. I know they had a lot of them in production, but I thought I'd share that. As far as what I plan on collecting moving into 2024 would be, I'm not afraid to collect CGCs that are cracked and, cases broken, and, because a lot of that stuff people are dumping off. I think there's a little bit of disgust where people are either kind of sitting on it and they're giving up, or they just, for whatever reason. But I'm noticing a lot of CGCs for books that aren't really popular at lower grades in cases that are cracked, going for a lot cheaper. I think this one's about ready to split, but yeah, it doesn't matter. But so I am still looking for those if I can find them. I am looking for Superman 70s, 80s action comics that are in higher grade if I can. Those things still look cheap and they're on the markets, and they don't have a lot of collective eyes right now. And I'm also looking for more 4-color anything. 4-color, like I said, if it's a TV show or a movie character or a movie or any book, there's a lot of 4-color crap out there. Stuff that's just not being searched for. And the stuff that's just not being looked for, I can usually get a good deal on occasion. Not all the time, of course, but on occasion I can get a really good deal for a lot of that stuff. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. It's still mostly going to be a lot of Golden Age, Silver Age, Dell 4-color even Archies, and try to add to some of my Superman, maybe more of the 80s and 90s Superman. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to end the video, and that's my opinion on the 2023 markets, and I think it was a pretty good year. I don't think it was as bad as everyone said it was. I don't know who's saying. I mean, the people who are saying it's bad is just flat out wrong, but those who are saying it was bad are the ones who ended up buying a lot of this stuff at $100, thinking it's going to go to 200 and they're going to flip it, and that's just chaotic thinking. But I am babbling now, so I'm going to end the video, and thanks guys for watching, and I will talk to you on my next video. See you guys.